Hi, I'm Debbie Wright.
My name is Ron Dijon, and we're from The Graphic Truth.
Due to the recent spread of deadly drugs into the public schools and the tragic deaths that they have caused, we have developed a 3-part program. We believe that this program is the single most effective tool in preventing alcohol and drug abuse. This is just a short preview of what the long presentation will include, and please note that some of the reenactments are very graphic.
Part 1 is hosted by someone who has personally faced addiction and will narrate a very graphic but accurate presentation of drug abuse. Here's a brief look.
Shut up! Stop looking at me! This wasn't supposed to be your life!
Scary, huh? When you become addicted to drugs or alcohol, you will do things you never thought you would or could ever do. As a person in recovery, I can certainly understand how that young man feels. This wasn't supposed to be my life. Nobody plans on stealing from their parents or committing crimes, but addiction is way too subtle. Take a look at this.
This is your brain. This is heroin. This is what happens to your brain after snorting heroin. And this is what your body goes through. It's not over yet. This is what your family goes through. And your friends, and your money, and your job, and your self-respect. Any questions?
And it's always, I'm just going to try this one time. And it's that thought that reels you right in. Watch this.
I'm gonna try meth just once. I'm gonna smoke this just once. I'm gonna steal just once. I'm going to sleep with him for meth just once.
I'm going to try math just once.
Next is a clip from a colorful animation designed to teach you what happens in the brain to cause addiction.
Many factors make us who we are. Everyone is familiar with the age-old argument of nature versus nurture. Our personalities, are they genetic or manufactured by our environment? It's both. Our genes begin the process by creating the foundation that everything else will build upon. Imagine tractors tilling the soil and preparing it for growth. Next, our personalities shape the land, like growing trees and building houses shape the land. So for the first decade of our lives, our brain is nurtured into a quaint little neighborhood, ready to house our thoughts and grow with the things we learn. But then puberty hits, and our hormones rage like a hurricane. Our brains naturally adapt, however, in some cases, maladapt. So what exactly do we mean by maladapt? Does nature take a wrong turn somewhere? It's not so much that nature goes wrong, but rather modifies things for our survival. One factor largely responsible for altering our minds and our bodies is stress. Stress can be very damaging. If stress lingers indefinitely, it is called chronic, inescapable stress. Chronic stress may come from abuse or low self-esteem. So when the body is stressed, it starts to produce certain substances that will help balance itself out. The problem happens when our wires get crossed and our maladaptive brains get confused on what to crave.
Next is a clip of Dr. Daniel Amen's recent discovery that drugs are causing permanent damage to the developing brains of young people.
Cigarettes were the first thing that I was introduced to. Alcohol and cigarettes, drinking, smoked pot, mushroom, ecstasy. Anything I could get my hands on is wallet. Prescription drugs, liquid acid, heroin, cocaine, Percocet, Percodan, Vicodin, Valium, and then God knows whatever the marijuana was laced with.
Your brain at 20. I would think this is a 70-year-old's brain.
Teenagers, adults, they have no clue that when they're smoking pot, they're actually damaging their brain.
Everything that I saw in school about it, I found out one day that it's all true and it's all happening to me.
When your brain works right, you work right.
I'd like to just be able to think normally.
What we're looking at here is a healthy brain.
I'm just worried that my brain is also going to be gone and they're never coming back.
And this is a cocaine brain. So the real question is, which brain do you want?
The following is a brief interview with a young man regarding the substance abuse crisis within our public schools. Nate, from what you've seen, how does the Graphic Truth compare with other programs?
From my personal experience, I think viewing the Graphic Truth is effective in the sense that it depicts a kid who looks like every other kid in high school. You know, for me, when I was going through high school and drug abuse and lessons that were provided from the school, a lot of it was just education. It was, you know, dare, and it was this is what you should do in a situation, and you never really got to see the picture of what turns out to be an addict or what someone's life can turn into when they go down that route of drugs and alcohol. So seeing something like that for me brings back a lot of memories of people in my life who look exactly like that kid in that video still to this day.
Why do you think other programs and current attempts just aren't working?
I mean, I've been doing some thinking about this, and I think it's important to get real people who've been in that situation. You know, the programs that I had, again, were from an educational variety, where teachers were talking about the drug abuse and alcohol, whereas if you have someone who comes in who has been through the stages of drug addiction and alcoholism and can really speak to the truth and can relate to the kids, you have a better chance of really connecting to someone in that age group.
Do you have any suggestions that would help us make our program even more effective?
I mean, with a program like the Graphic Truth and something of this sort, I would just ask you guys to keep fighting the fight. You know, it's tough because a lot of kids in that age group have to experience some things for themselves before they really learn their lesson, because they're too smart to learn from other people's mistakes. But the goal of this program, if you can get in there and just positively affect a handful of kids, you know, it is a success. And just keep pushing on and keep spreading the news about how serious this drug addiction and alcoholism can be.
Has anyone from your school or community ever sat down and asked you or other kids your opinion of how to address the problem?
No, that's a good question. When I was in school, I ran with a crowd that was often in trouble for alcohol and drug-related incidents, and it seemed to me at the time they were more concerned with getting us suspended or giving us detentions or giving us discipline as they were to turning it into a positive. So we never had a chance to kind of sit down and open up with guidance counselors or teachers to come up with an idea on how to help fix the problem and not just discipline us for our mistakes.
Finally, out of a school nurse, guidance counselor, psychiatrist, police officer, or a person in recovery, who would you be most likely to listen to regarding the dangers and traps of drug and alcohol use?
There's no doubt in my mind it would 100% be a former addict or alcoholic who can share their experience, strength, and hope of what their life was like and what's happened to them. And I think that's the most powerful message, because only alcoholics and addicts know what it's about to dig deep in yourself with self-esteem, fear, and deal with a lot of those mental conditions that many people who suffer from that disease have.
Hi, I'm Mary Jones with WDRC. Through my previous experience as a school social worker, I have seen firsthand the devastating effects that drugs have on our children. The Graphic Truth is confronting this epidemic that is claiming more lives from our Connecticut schools than at any other time in history. Please consider making a tax-deductible gift to the Graphic Truth, 61 Arrow Road, Suite 27, Wethersfield, Connecticut, 06109. And check out our website, thegraphictruth.org. Thank you very much.